Throughout my life, I operated under one philosophy. Progress means moving forward and leaving everything behind. When something failed, I would redesign it from scratch. When systems broke down, I rebuilt them entirely. This approach defined how I handled businesses, challenges, and even personal relationships. I believed that human connections could be approached like engineering projects, where you identify flaws, eliminate problems, and create optimal efficiency. Then you entered my world and transformed my entire perspective. Meeting you was unlike any experience I'd known before. You were not a blank slate waiting to be written upon. You arrived as a complete person, formed by countless experiences that occurred long before our paths crossed. You had loved others deeply, made decisions in moments I never witnessed, and lived through entire chapters of life that I played no part in. Rather than creating distance between us, this reality added profound dimension to who you are. Understanding this changed everything for me. There exists something remarkable about being attracted to someone not because they are untouched by life, but precisely because they carry the texture and depth that only experience can provide. During our early conversations, when you first shared parts of your history with me, I observed the carefulness in your words. You would pause between thoughts, lower your voice when mentioning significant names or places from your past, and I recognized what you were doing. You were preparing yourself for my possible rejection, expecting me to determine that your history was too complex, too difficult, too much for me to embrace. That rejection never came. Instead, I found myself moving closer to you, wanting to understand more. Something became crystal clear to me in those moments. Your past does not represent competition for your present affection. Your past is the context that explains your depth. Each person you loved before me taught you something valuable about your own capacity for feeling. Every mistake revealed what you will no longer tolerate. Every time you experienced hurt, and yet chose to remain open rather than closing yourself off, you are practicing a form of bravery that surpasses anything I have accomplished in my professional life. People consider me courageous because I have ventured into space exploration and pushed technological boundaries. But your courage operates on a completely different level. You chose to open your heart to love again after experiencing its ability to cause pain. That decision requires a type of risk that cannot be calculated through mathematical formulas or tested through simulations. It demands pure faith in possibility. When I look at you, I see someone who refused to allow past experiences to establish permanent limitations. You could have chosen the path of self-protection. You could have decided that safety meant never trusting another person, never allowing yourself to be vulnerable, never letting anyone witness the tender parts of yourself that had been exposed before. You did not make that choice. You remained open to connection. You maintained softness in places where the world attempted to make you hard and defensive. This quality is not weakness as some might suggest. This is structural strength. This represents the type of integrity I spend years attempting to achieve in my work. The capacity to withstand immense pressure while maintaining your essential nature unchanged. People often imagine the future as something pristine and unmarked, completely untouched by what came before. But genuine futures are constructed on existing foundations. You do not erase the ground beneath your feet. You build upon it. You work with the landscape that already exists. You honor the terrain. Loving you feels exactly like this. I am not attempting to rewrite your personal history. I have no desire to compete with your memories or remove names from chapters that occurred before me. My goal is to understand the landscape of your heart, well enough to build something meaningful with you that respects and honors everywhere you have been. I have been contemplating something lately during quiet hours, when work stops and silence fills the space around me. What if we have been thinking about the past incorrectly? What if it is not something to overcome or move beyond, but rather something to integrate into who we are becoming? I think about rivers frequently. They carve through solid rock over centuries, changing their course but never ceasing their movement. They gather sediment and transport it downstream. Rivers do not apologize for what they have touched. They do not regret the stones they shaped or the paths they eventually abandoned. They simply flow with relentless purpose. You remind me of this natural force. You flowed through experiences that shaped who you are today. Some of those experiences were gentle, some were violent. Some changed you in ways you never anticipated. Yet you continued moving forward. You did not stop your own flow out of fear. You kept moving towards something you could not yet see clearly. Now you are here with me, and I find myself standing at the edge of this river thinking that I do not want to alter your course. I want to flow alongside you. This requires something I have not always been skilled at. Surrender. Not the kind where you give up on goals, but the kind where you give in to trust, to timing, to the possibility that love is not something you control through force of will. Love is something you choose repeatedly, even when the current becomes rough and unpredictable. Have you experienced this tension as well? The push and pull between wanting to protect yourself and wanting to risk yourself completely for the possibility of genuine connection? I notice it in your eyes sometimes, the way you hesitate before speaking, the way you carefully select your words as if you are still uncertain whether showing me everything is safe. I understand this completely because I hesitate too. I measure my own words. I calculate risks. I prepare contingencies for failure. But here's what I am discovering. Love is not a system you can make risk-free. It is not a problem you solve through superior thinking or better planning. Love is a door you walk through knowing you might experience hurt on the other side, and choosing to walk through anyway because what you might gain matters more than maintaining safety. You have already walked through that door before. You understand what I am describing. You know the cost of opening yourself to another person. You know the vulnerability required to say without guarantees that you choose someone. You know the courage it takes to believe in something you cannot see or predict with certainty. And you did it anyway multiple times, even when it resulted in pain. Even when it did not work out as you had hoped. That is not naivety or foolishness. That is wisdom. That is the kind of earned knowledge that only comes from living fully, from refusing to let fear make you smaller than you are meant to be. So when I tell you that I love you beyond your past, please understand what I mean. I do not love you in spite of your history. I love you because of the woman those experiences created. I love you for staying open to life. I love you for remaining tender. I love you for choosing hope over cynicism, connection over safety, possibility over protection. Your past made you capable of this present moment. Every heartbreak taught you what authentic love looks like. Every mistake clarified what you truly value. Every person who left prepared you for someone who would stay. I want to be that person. Not because I am perfect or flawless, I am not. Not because I have everything figured out, I do not. But because I see you completely, the woman you were, the woman you are now, the woman you are still becoming, and I am not intimidated by your complexity. I am captivated by it. Let me be clear about something important. Your history does not disqualify you from love. It qualifies you for something deeper than what you have known before. Allow that truth to settle into your understanding. You do not have to earn this. You do not have to prove that you are worthy of being chosen. You already are worthy. There exists a weight to personal history that most people do not discuss openly. Not the kind you study in educational institutions, but the personal kind. The weight of decisions you made when you were younger, less certain, more afraid of consequences. The weight of people who touched your life and left lasting impressions on your heart that never completely fade. The weight of previous versions of yourself that you have outgrown but cannot entirely forget. I carry this weight too. Different stories, different scars, but the same heaviness. I think this shared experience is why I understand what you are not saying when you go quiet sometimes. When your eyes drift away and you are somewhere else for a brief moment, you are not leaving me. You are visiting rooms in your memory that still contain remnants of the past. I do not resent those rooms. I simply want you to know that you should not feel guilty for having them. Not with me, not ever. I have learned something about guilt through years of building things. It is one of the most expensive emotions humans carry. More expensive than failure itself. More costly than mistakes. Because guilt does not just make you regret what you did, it makes you regret who you were. And that reaches deeper into your sense of self. When you feel guilty about your past relationships, about choices you made, about time you cannot reclaim, That guilt is asking you to apologize for being human, for learning through experience rather than through some impossible perfect foresight. But being human means exactly this: growing through trial and error, through choices that sometimes work out and sometimes do not. You do not owe anyone an apology for your journey. I need you to hear this clearly. I do not view your past as baggage you carry. I view it as foundation you stand on. Every relationship you experienced taught you about yourself. Every person who touched your life revealed something about what you need, what you value, what you will not compromise on. That is not damage. That is development. That is the natural process of becoming more fully yourself. Some people go through life avoiding difficulty, staying in safe spaces, never risking their hearts because risk feels too dangerous. Those people do not develop the kind of depth you possess. They remain surface level, untested, uncertain of their own capacity. You are not that person. You took risks, you loved fully, you got hurt and loved again. That created resilience and wisdom that cannot be taught or given. It can only be earned through living. You know yourself in ways that people who have never been broken cannot possibly understand. You know your limits. You know your worth. You know what you need. This is not damage. This is data. This is experience. This is the kind of wisdom I would spend tremendous resources to program into artificial intelligence, but could never fully capture. Because human wisdom is not just information. It is transformation. It is taking pain and turning it into protection without becoming defensive. It is taking disappointment and turning it into discernment without becoming cynical. It is taking heartbreak and turning it into clarity without becoming closed. You have done this work. You have transformed. And the woman standing here now is not less than who you were before those experiences. You are more aware, more certain, more able to recognize what real love looks like. And I am hoping with everything I have that you recognize it here between us. Let me tell you what I am not asking of you. I am not asking you to forget. I am not asking you to pretend your past did not happen or did not matter. I am not asking you to erase names or rewrite history or act like you emerged fully formed from nowhere with no prior experiences. I am asking you to trust that I can hold your history without being threatened by it. That I can hear about your past without comparing myself to it. That I can love the whole of you, every version, every chapter, every season, without needing you to edit anything out for my comfort. Can you do that? Can you trust me with your complexity? Because I want it. All of it, the messy parts, the parts you think make you too much or not enough, the parts you have learned to hide because people told you they were inconvenient or uncomfortable, the parts that still hurt when you touch them. I want to know about the person who made you laugh until you could not breathe. I want to hear about the relationship that taught you what you will not accept anymore. I want to understand the moment you realized you deserved better. The day you finally left. The time you spent putting yourself back together piece by piece. Not because I am insecure or masochistic, but because those moments made you who you are. And who you are is exactly who I want. I need you to understand something about how I perceive time. Most people think of it as linear. Past, then present, then future. Like connected train cars moving forward on a track. But I think of time as simultaneous. All your past selves still exist somewhere within you. The girl who believed in fairy tales, the woman who got her heart broken, the survivor who rebuilt herself. They are all still here, layered inside you like rings in a tree showing growth over years. And I do not love just the current version. I love all of them. The ones who made mistakes, the ones who tried and failed, the ones who got it wrong before learning to get it right. They are all part of you. They are all part of why you are magnificent. So when you worry that your past is too complicated for me to handle, remember this: I do not do simple work. I never have. I am drawn to complexity, to challenges, to problems that require creativity and patience and vision. Loving you is not simple, but nothing worth building ever is. And I want to build this with you on the foundation of everything you have already survived. Not in spite of your history, but on top of it, using it, honoring it, letting it inform how we move forward together. Here is my question for you, and I want you to consider it carefully. What would it feel like to stop carrying your past as shame and start carrying it as proof? Proof that you can survive. Proof that you can grow. Proof that you can love again, deeper this time, wiser this time, with someone who sees all of you and chooses all of you. That is what I am offering. Not rescue or redemption, or a chance to start over and pretend nothing came before. Partnership with someone who knows that your past is part of your power, not proof of your imperfection. Let that understanding settle into your bones. You are not too much. You are not damaged goods. You are not disqualified from deep love because you have lived a full life. You are exactly right for this moment. For us, for now. I want to talk to you about trust now. Real trust. Not the surface kind where you say the right words and hope they turn out to be true, but the deep kind. The kind that sits in your chest and either expands or contracts depending on whether you feel safe. I know trust is difficult for you now. I can see it in the small ways you protect yourself. The way you pause before answering certain questions. The way you hold back parts of your thoughts. Testing to see if revealing more is safe. The way you sometimes look at me like you are waiting for me to disappoint you. Because experience has taught you that disappointment is more reliable than devotion. And I do not blame you for that protective instinct. Not even slightly. Trust is not something you give freely after it has been broken. It is something you rebuild carefully. One honest moment at a time, like a bridge constructed over a canyon where the old bridge collapsed. You do not just throw materials across and hope they hold. You test each beam. You verify each connection. You take your time because falling again is not an option. I understand that. I respect it. And I am willing to build at whatever pace you need. But I need you to understand something too. I am not asking you to trust blindly. I am asking you to trust based on evidence. Watch what I do. Listen to what I say. Notice whether my actions match my words. Give me time to prove that I am different from what you have known before, because I am different. Not because I am superior to anyone else. Not because I have some special ability to love correctly, but because I have learned something that took me too long to understand. Presence is the foundation of everything meaningful. You cannot build trust without presence. You cannot create intimacy without showing up fully, repeatedly, consistently. And presence is not just physical. It is emotional. It is mental. It is the willingness to be here in this moment with you, even when it is uncomfortable or complicated, or easier to retreat into work or distraction. I failed at presence before. I have been in relationships where I was physically present, but mentally somewhere else, calculating, planning, building something in my mind while missing what was happening right in front of me. And I lost people because of it. Not because I did not care, but because I did not show up in the ways that mattered most. I am not making that mistake with you. I cannot afford to. Not because you are some project I need to optimize, but because losing you would cost me something I cannot rebuild or replace. Do you feel that distinction? Do you sense the difference between someone who wants you and someone who needs to not lose you? There is a subtle but crucial distinction there. Wanting is about acquisition. Needing to not lose someone is about recognition. It is realizing that this person, this connection, this specific combination of souls meeting at this specific time, it is irreplaceable. It is understanding that if this does not work, you will not just be sad for a while. You will be fundamentally changed by the absence. That is where I am with you. And it terrifies me because I am used to problems I can solve, challenges I can overcome, obstacles I can engineer my way around. But loving you is not a problem to solve. It is a mystery to honor. And mysteries require surrender. They require trust. Which brings me back to you and the trust I am asking you to consider. What would it take for you to believe I am staying? Not just today or this month, but through the seasons of your life that are harder to witness. Through the moments when you are not at your best. Through the days when your past catches up with you and you need to sit with old pain for a while. Because those moments will come. I know they will. Healing is not linear. It is cyclical. You think you have moved past something, and then a date on the calendar, or a song or a smell in the air brings it all back. And suddenly you are not the healed version of yourself. You are the version that still hurts. And I want you to know that I can hold space for that version too. I can sit with you in that pain without needing to fix it, or rush you through it, or make you feel like you should be past it already. Because being with you means being with all of you in all your states, in all your seasons. This is what partnership means to me. Not just enjoying the easy moments, but staying through the difficult ones. Not just celebrating your strengths, but honoring your struggles. Not just loving who you are when everything is going well, but loving who you are when things fall apart. Can I be that for you? Can you let me try?